Republic of Congo Presidency office says preparations for the vote will still go ahead as planned on the 23rd of December, despite a major fire that destroyed an election warehouse.
That's despite a fire last night at a warehouse in Congo's capital, Kinshasa, which destroyed thousands of voting machines and ballot boxes that were due to be used in the December 23rd presidential election.
The fire destroyed 70% of the equipment due to be used for voting in Kinshasa, where more than 15% of the DRC's population lives. The vote to replace President Joseph Kabila in power since 2001 was initially due to take place in 2016, but has been repeatedly delayed due to logistical and security problems.
This is the aftermath of a fire in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which has destroyed thousands of voting machines and ballot boxes. They were due to be used in the country's long-delayed presidential election on December 23rd. The president's chief diplomatic advisor blamed the warehouse blaze on criminals, also confirming that police who had been guarding the warehouse had been arrested. The fire's thought to have destroyed about 7,000 of the 10,000 voting machines due to be used in Kinshasa. But preparations for the election are continuing regardless. And voting machines from elsewhere in the country will be recalled for use in the capital, which is home to more than 15% of the population.
As far as the equipment is concerned, we estimate for now that nearly 8,000 voting machines out of the 10,368 which were due to be used in Kinshasa have been destroyed. 3,774 voting booths out of the planned 8,887, 800 new motorcycles and 15 vehicles and nearly 900 external batteries have all been destroyed.
This month's highly anticipated vote could mark Congo's first peaceful transition of power. Current President Joseph Kabila is due to step down because of constitutional term limits. But the vote had already been delayed by 2 years due to what authorities said were logistical challenges.
The warehouse was burned. Basically, inside the warehouse, they had the materials for Kinshasa, but there have been contingency plans because not all the materials were kept in the same warehouse. So there's a contingency plan. So the Electoral Commission had a replacement materials to replace those that had burned. So the elections would take place as planned on the 23rd of December in spite of this fire.
The introduction of the untested tablet-like voting machines for the election has been widely opposed by many. Those competing against Kabila's preferred successor, former Interior Minister Emmanuel Ramazani Shadari, have been particularly vocal. They say the machines are more vulnerable to vote rigging than paper and ink and could be compromised by the unreliability of Congo's power supply. The government and opposition have traded accusations that the other side is trying to undermine the vote. Kabila's camp say the opposition is not prepared for the vote and looking for excuses to delay it.
The violence is taking place as we speak. Things are under control. Most of the country is peaceful. But we are aware there are some elements that would not like to see these elections to take place, mainly because they are not prepared to go to elections. So the best thing for them is to make sure these elections don't take place. But the government is committed to have elections because we have no choice. We have to have those elections, as you rightly reported, so we can have a peaceful transfer of power. So everything is in place to reach that objective.
His opponents accuse the president of looking for further excuses to hold on to power. The delay in the elections has coincided with a breakdown in security across much of the vast mineral-rich country, and there are fears violence could increase as the election day approaches.
Well, for more on this story, we joined in studio by Nono N'landu. He is the Southern African Presidential Campaign Director for the Democratic Republic of Congo opposition presidential candidate, Martin Fayulu. Mr. N'landu, thank you so much for joining us. A warm welcome to the Globe on SABC.
Thank you.
Now, the UPDS now blames the ruling party for the fire that occurred at the Seni electoral warehouse. Do you?
Yeah, and let me say that it's quite ridiculous what I just heard from Ambassador Mpoko, because we at the opposition know that what's happening is quite an inside job done by authorities and the Electoral Commission to blame opposition and to seek some way to prevent other candidates, especially ours, Martin Fayulu, from running, because, you know, he was undermined from the beginning. They didn't think it would have such a huge impact in terms of popularity that was demonstrated those few days while campaigning in Eastern DRC, with a tremendous crowd following him. And let us say, it has been so far the deadliest electoral campaign in our history, because we have six of our supporters killed by the power. And now, with this fire story, we know it for sure some inside job for them to blame our candidate. And
it's quite interesting that you're saying that you know that it's actually the ruling party which is responsible for this fire, but you've got no evidence to back it up.
Let me put it clear. For people who know Kinshasa, that warehouse is located in one of the safest areas in the capital city. Let me give you some example. It's just 10 meters from the biggest Congolese military camps. That warehouse is the Kankokolo, as it's called. It's 200 meters from the Congolese army headquarters. That warehouse is some step away from the fire brigade. Then we can't just assume normal people going that such facility who are under surveillance 24/7 to start a fire. They did that all that comedy to blame the opposition, as I said. You can see by those footage that fresh wooden pallet next to a burning car. How can you explain a car being burnt, but wood doesn't get burnt? They didn't work properly on that comedy, and it shows up some evidence link. And we're asking, let them show us those electronic voting machines remain. Because if your computer gets burnt, we can at least see some remains. But they wouldn't allow nobody, journalists or the press, to get in the warehouse and to verify those allegations. It's just some amateur scenario, and we at the opposition know for sure it's to try to destabilize our candidate, who's the strongest on the ground. It has been shown with the support with those big guns like Moïse Katumbi and Jean-Pierre Mbemba is now credited like with about 85% with the electorate.
In as much as you're placing the blame squarely on the shoulders of President Joseph Kabila and the ruling party, let's not forget that early this month, your leader, Mr. Martin Fayulu, told his supporters and sympathizers to destroy electoral material.
Those are not truth allegations. They have been like changed by those people, those Kabila's people. He was just asking for the people, when in the voting station, to ask for paper and not use.
What did he mean by that then?
Our fight is against the use, since the beginning, the use of that electronic voting machine, which is anti-constitutional. We want those elections.
That he said electoral material should be destroyed.
No, he didn't make such a statement. I can testify. We've got footage of all of his meeting. He only asks the people, the voters, to request for papers. Only that, for papers, so they can vote. For them to make a statement about rejecting that the use of that machine, and you know, and let me say it again, he has been having so far the most spectacular campaign rally, starting by Bunia, Butembo, Kisangani, Goma, and has been prevented yesterday to go from Kalemi to Kolwezi, where people was waiting for him, because the Kabila and his camp can't face that rise of this leader. They was thinking was a small guns, but you know, the things change. They have now put that strategy to try prevent him from running as they did for Moise Katumbi and Jean-Pierre Mbemba. Therefore, this shameful and ridiculous scenario of fire, that is not true. How come a warehouse next to the Congolese army headquarters being attacked like that without any camera filming the culprit? And this footage, we can see it 1,000 times. A fresh wood not be burning beside of a car burning. And let me
now speaking. Let's now go back to the issue of the voting machines. The opposition movement, including yourselves, fear that, or rather, they do fear that the use of these machines may be impractical in such a huge country which has got transport, logistics and security concerns. But the Election Commission says that no, it actually cuts costs and speeds up vote counting. Why are you so much against these machines?
We are from a country where most of the people are uneducated, especially in rural area. We've got serious problem of power supply. How are they? You hardly spend one day in your home in DRC with the power 24/7, and the voting office will need power. We need like a permanent supply of power in order for those machines to work. Besides of most of the people being uneducated, most of our rural supporters will have for the first time of their lives ever facing a digital screen. It will be the first time. Then there will be just lost. And by that fact, those people, those electoral commission people will just vote for them. And you know what will happen next? And let me tell you, and be serious. Do you know how, until now, those machines are being taken to the voting office on bicycles and motorcycles? No helicopters. They were showing off to just lie to the international community because they refuse any help from the international community to organize those self-made elections by themselves.
They use bicycles to transport the voting machines. They use bicycles
to transport those electronic voting machines. And you know how a computer can be sensitive, and the road in the DRC. And most of those machines didn't get to all the voting stations. That is a problem. The Electoral Commission is not ready to organize those elections. Therefore, all those circus and to try put the blame on the opposition with this ridiculous fire ever in the history of fire.
Mr. N'landu, I wish we had all night to discuss this matter, but then thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate your time.
I thank you.
All right, that is Mr. Nono N'landu. He is the campaign director for Southern Africa for one of the presidential candidates in the DRC, Mr. Fayulu. This is the Globe on SABC News. Let's take a short break.